Okay, we should be live. We should be live. Yeah, we are. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I thought I'd start one up a bit earlier today. Why not? Just got finished work, so yeah, bit of chill time now. But let me just sort this in the background. 1 second. Da, 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 da. Okay, that should be done. Yeah, that's done. That's done. That's done. Just open up a couple of tabs and we'll be ready to go pretty much. Okay. There we go. Big up to Brandon Blanco in the chat. Big up to you, sir. Yeah, I don't usually start them this early, to be honest. It's not even 6 o'clock yet. Usually we wait till the evening, but why not? Why not? Gonna have a bit more free time than I usually do. So, why not make the most of it? Try and get a few more streams done. At least 2 a week, I would say. That's what I'm aiming for anyway. Whether I achieve it or not, who knows? But yeah, we'll talk some boxing. Nothing too crazy. Neil Simpson, what about Fury saying that he's probably going to duck Anthony Joshua and fight some bum in April? Do you know what, Neil? I've heard that, but I've not really seen it myself. Whether it was a tweet or whatever, or an interview, I've not really seen it. I happen to believe that this is just PR and a bit of just publicity, really. To be honest, I mean, Bob Arum was saying that this fight's nearly done. Eddie Hearn is not hinting at anything going wrong. I think it's just really PR. And maybe also Tyson Fury just basically using a built-in excuse, should he lose, that inactivity was to blame. One of those sort of things. Just a built-in excuse, just in case he loses. That's my theory anyway. But, yeah. Big up to Darren in the chat. Brandon Blanco, one question. I posted a poll on Boxing Reddit on a fantasy fight between Crawford versus Gatti at 140. What are your thoughts, Stelboy? I think Terence Crawford has way too much for Arturo Gatti at 140. Way too much. That fight could take place at 135, 140. Doesn't really matter. Crawford's too versatile. And I think he would beat Gatti up, quite frankly. Late stoppage for Terence Crawford. That's what I would say. Big up to Official Scorecard Boxing Science in the building. Hopefully you're doing well, Official. Hopefully you're keeping well. Not spoke to you in a while, bro, so hopefully you're good, man. Who do you think the greatest boxer still alive today is? I say Duran. Yeah, Duran's a good shout. Roberto Duran is my favourite, probably, out of that Fab 4 generation with Hagler, Hearns, Leonard. I think Duran's my favourite, definitely. But yeah, you got Duran, you got Hagler, you got Sugar Ray Leonard. You still got the likes of George Foreman, Lennox Lewis. You got some very good fighters still around, but maybe Duran, in a pound for pound sense, maybe you rank Duran at the top of the Fab 4. So he's definitely a shout. Okay, so it was an interview on YouTube. Tyson Fury said it himself. Okay, yeah, maybe it's just PR, Neil. And I think it's, like I say, I think it's a way of Tyson Fury just basically building an excuse should he lose. That's my theory anyway. Okay, so he says AA Boxing and Blunts. He's actually elaborated on this. He says you should watch the interview. He said if Anthony Joshua fight isn't sorted, he'll fight in April or it'll be AJ in June time. Okay, so yeah, basically Tyson Fury saying if it drags on too long, I basically need a tune-up fight, essentially, which is fair enough, I guess. And listen, man, this is why I've not really been speaking too much about this fight, because there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go. First and foremost, both guys need to come to terms and agree on everything, not just money. Then you've got the TV networks. There's a long way to go. That's why I've not really been making loads of videos on this fight, because until it's made, I'm kind of wasting my time, really. I'm kind of wasting my time. Oh, BG London, man. You stayed up for the Brona fight. Jesus Christ. I feel for you, man. I feel for you. But maybe BG. I might do. I kind of want to see Julio Cesar Martinez on the undercard because I like him a lot. One of my favorite fighters, full stop. Actually, Julio Cesar Martinez, very good fighter, and he's in with a good opponent in Arroyo. So I kind of want to see that fight. Joshua Fury, a gun to my head, I would lean towards Fury, but I think it's a much more competitive fight than a lot of people make out. The Fury fans think he wins with ease. The Joshua fans think he wins with ease. Fanboys be fanboys, but I think that's a very hard fight to call. I still have worries about Joshua's mentality after the Ruiz loss, but he has a lot of tools which Tyson Fury hasn't really seen before. So it's a hard fight to call, in my opinion. Terence Crawford, Keith Thurman, prime for prime. I think that's a dangerous fight for Crawford because let's be honest, Crawford's not really proven at welterweight to a great extent. What's his best win? Kavalauskas and a weight drain, Jeff Horn. I mean, a prime Keith Thurman would be a hard fight for Terence, but I would still probably take Terence in that one. Again, based on that adaptability, he can fight, he can box, orthodox southpaw. I would take Crawford, to be honest. Yeah, it's not got to that stage yet, Christian. It's not got to that stage yet, but yeah, Tyson Fury, like AA said, apparently Tyson Fury said if his fight doesn't get made soon, he needs a tune-up fight. That's what he says. Exactly. Yeah, man. The audio is much better now. The Silicon Valley dweebs will like that. Yeah, that was terrible the other night, man. Absolutely awful. A big up to Recognize, by the way. Shout out to Recognize, part of a BDA family. Hopefully you're keeping well, bro. He says Fury's getting fat and uninspired. Yeah, that's the problem with Tyson Fury. He's one of those guys who always needs a goal on the horizon kind of thing. When he doesn't have that, one of those guys who finds it hard to work towards something if there's nothing there set. And a lot of people are like that. I'm kind of like that as well. So yeah, Tyson Fury probably needs this fight set sooner rather than later so he can actually focus and get back to work kind of thing, because post-Christmas he seems to let it go a bit. He seems to put a bit of weight on. But yeah, Tyson Fury is always going to be one of those characters where he could go one way or the other. And part of me thinks that that's an internal thing, that if he loses a fight, he's always got that built-in excuse that, oh, I didn't train hard enough, or I, was out of shape, too close to the fight. A lot of fighters do that, actually. Like John Jones, actually, he was on Joe Rogan a little while ago, and he said a week before every fight, he gets blackout wasted, basically just to have that kind of excuse in his mind if he were to lose, that it was because he was out partying the week before a fight. So yeah, maybe it's something to do with that. But yeah, Fury needs to get his act together. Exactly. No venue, haven't set the price point. Seems weird. They are. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, bro. Big up to Pound for Pound Boxing. He says, I don't blame Fury. At the end of the day, we want to see the best Fury and the best AJ. Yeah. Official says, word, Martinez is probably the most exciting fighter today. Yeah, indeed. Very unorthodox, very aggressive, hits hard, good body puncher, good punch volume. He comes to bring it, man. Very good fighter. And he's saying he wants to move up next year to fight the likes of Gonzalez and Estrada. Can you imagine Estrada versus Martinez? That would be crazy. Absolutely crazy. Favorite fighter of all time? James Toney is my favorite fighter of all time. He's one of those guys who, when you watch him box, he makes it look so fucking easy, like he was born to fight kind of thing. Like he makes it look like you could go in there and do exactly what he does, because he makes it look so effortless. I can't fucking speak. He makes it look so easy. James Toney, he's my favorite fighter of all time. But there's a lot of guys I like. Yeah, he destroyed Edwards, Darren Martinez, and it ended up in a no contest because he hit Edwards on the floor. Yeah, I feel so hypey. I've had like 10 coffees today. I've not been like snorting coke or anything. I've had like 10 coffees in 4 hours probably. Listen, man, if I mean if that fight doesn't get set for like June, then I don't blame Fury. To be honest, I don't blame him. Fury fights and struggles with bums. Indeed, he does. Yeah, I mean he's had several fights like that in his career. Otto Wallin, for example, um, Nevin Pajic, Nikolai Furfer. He has struggled with a lot of less than stellar opposition, and I think that's a motivation thing. To be honest, if Tyson doesn't really respect somebody going in, then I think he's always prone to that. You could easily see Tyson Fury beating someone like Joshua a couple of times. Maybe he wins both fights. You could easily see Tyson Fury having a Lennox Lewis moment. I could see it with Tyson. I could see it. Similar to how Lennox, when Lennox fought Hasim Rahman, he didn't really see Rahman as a threat at all. He went in out of shape and he got knocked out. You could see that happening with Tyson Fury, basically losing to somebody that you don't expect. Because let's be honest, right? The Otto Wallin fight, some referees would have stopped that fight because of that cut, especially in the UK. Adamek versus Beterbiev or Bivol. Adamek was a really good fighter. Both at light heavyweight and cruiserweight. But to me, he was a better cruiserweight, Thomas Adamek. So I would favour both Bivol and Beterbiev over Adamek at light heavyweight. Thoughts on Zhilei Zhang? You still not impressed? No, I'm not impressed. He's a big lump, southpaw. He's got a few nice combinations here and there. He can move a bit, but doesn't really. For a guy who's like 6'7", he's not all that imposing, in my opinion. You know, you'd expect him to hit a lot harder, be a lot harder to get to. I don't think he's that great at all. You know, somebody's going to cash him out in a big fight in Asia. That's what they're keeping Zhilei Zhang around for. You know, if Anthony Joshua beats Tyson Fury a couple of times, I could easily see Joshua fighting Zhilei Zhang in China. You know, I could see that happening. Big site fee in China. They'll pay big money for it. But I could see that. Oh, that's great news. If this happens, I'll be ecstatic. Hearing that Manny versus Crawford in Dubai is possible. If so, I hope I'll start again. If so, I hope the WBA elevates him from champion in recess, so it's a unification. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I'd like that a lot. But quite frankly, I'd rather just see that fight, whether it's a unification or not. I'm still really interested in that fight. Terence Crawford needs to fight somebody, even if it's a 43-year-old Manny Pacquiao. It'd be his best win, full stop. Otto Wallin beating Dominic Brazil. It kind of gives you a gauge of what area he's at. He beat Brazil comfortably, basically won every round. So we know at least Otto Wallin is a fringe contender. We know that much at least. And quite frankly, I think he'll beat the likes of a Charles Martin. I think he's like a level above the likes of Charles Martin and Robert Helenius. That's how I see Otto Wallin. Just a level above them, sorry. Yeah, it is what it is, Brandon. It is what it is. That's a good point, actually, BG London. If Fury has a warm-up, Anthony Joshua has to fight Usyk, question mark. Well, it looks like the WBO have already made their decision with Usyk. It looks like he's fighting Joyce. So, yeah, I don't think that's really going to affect much. Yeah, man, it's crazy, wasn't it? It's crazy. It sounded like the rappers from the 90s recording a track over the phone in prison. Oh, dear. Yeah, okay, punch quote. Fury has 2 fights with Bob. I think Bob wants both of those against AJ, not a tune-up. I don't see Bob letting that happen. I agree, punch quote. I totally agree. Bob's not going to fuck around with it. Bob's not going to let that slip. If Tyson Fury had to have a tune-up fight, he would renegotiate Tyson Fury's contract and get more fights. He wouldn't waste one of those Joshua fights on a tune-up. No way. So Tyson Fury, maybe he wants a tune-up, but Bob's not going to let that happen. So I wouldn't worry too much about what Tyson Fury's saying, to be honest. Yeah, indeed, man. He's my favourite fighter of all time. Had his flaws, don't get me wrong. Lazy bastard. Didn't train hard enough. often out of shape, but like in terms of his pure ability, just unreal, man, unreal. Like he made fighting on the inside look so fucking easy. Like when I went to the boxing gym for the first time, yeah, I tried to fight like James Toney, and I got fucking smashed. Honestly, getting hit from fucking pillar to post. Big up to Gerard in the chat, man. Hopefully you'll keep him well, bro. James Toney, my greatest of all time, most talented boxer of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, very talented. And bear in mind, like the majority of his career, he wasn't training properly. He was eating bad food, getting out of shape, and he still achieved what he achieved. Makes you wonder if this guy had the work ethic of, dare I say, Floyd Mayweather. If he had that work ethic, who knows how good Tony would have been? Who knows? Do you know what, AJ? I've got no fucking interest whatsoever in that fight. I like Gervonta Davis as a talent, but fighting another guy coming up in weight is going to do him no favors. Gary Russell's a midget, has no business being in the ring with Tank Davis, in my opinion. I want to see Tank try to unify at 130 or fight somebody at 135. I don't want to see him fight these guys coming up in weight. He's calling out Oscar Valdez. That would be a great fight, but it's not going to happen, obviously. I'm not sure where Tank goes from here, but I think that's going to be the fight, unfortunately. I think that's going to be the fight. My favourite boxers who has the greatest fundamentals are James Toney and Pernell Whitaker. Yeah, Mike McCallum is underrated. Yeah, great body puncher. Saw him fight Michael Watson at the Albert Hall, man. Oh, Jesus. Must have been good to see that. Mike McCallum, one of the best 154-pounders of all time. And again, watched his first fight with James Toney. Technical masterclass from both guys in that fight. James Toney versus Mike McCallum. Brilliant fight. I've just made 96 grams slab of shatter. It's in the oven till Saturday's fights. Yeah, Arthur Abraham was a good fighter, Brandon. One of those guys, he did the basics very well, Arthur Abraham. He's, like I said earlier, on a couple of videos ago, Anthony Yildirim is actually like a poor man's Arthur Abraham. Fights in the same style, high guard, hard jab, and he kind of fights in bursts kind of thing. That's exactly what Arthur Abraham used to do, but to a better level. But he was decent, Abraham. Very, very tough. Great chin, Arthur Abraham. Great chin. He took some fucking shots, man. And he could crack as well. He could really crack, Arthur Abraham. Yeah, I agree, Gerard. Fury should have fought in December, not sitting on his ass complaining about inactivity. Yeah, indeed. I mean, they tried to get a fight in the UK against Caballel, but it fell through due to finances. Fury, let's be honest, if he's so keen on being active, take a pay cut, fight on an undercard in a 10-rounder, why not do that? Why not do that? Oh, Roy Jones, AJ. Roy Jones, man. Far too explosive and athletic for Bivol. Bivol's a very good fighter, but you got to go with Roy Jones. Joshua versus Usyk. I could listen, man. I think that's a very hard fight for Joshua. Very hard fight. If he can't get Usyk out of there in the first half of that fight, you could easily see Usyk kind of draining him, chipping away to the body, and then kind of coming on strong in the late rounds and maybe getting a late stoppage. I think that's a very hard fight for Joshua. It's a winnable fight, but it's very hard at the same time. Stylistically, I think that's a hard fight. I'd love to see it though, man. I'd love to see that fight. Yeah, I think he lost to Santiago Simon. I think Broner lost that fight. I mean, he got outlanded like nearly 2-1, something crazy like that. Santiago was working the body, maintaining a much better work rate than Broner. Broner was landing the odd flashy jab, the odd counter here and there, but it wasn't enough, man. It wasn't enough. Is it on? Lopez versus Camboso. Has it been made? Cambosos isn't really anything special, though, so Lopez is going to smash him to pieces. And he'll do it in 4 or 5 rounds. I'll watch it though. It's a mandatory, but again, it's not a great fight, is it? And after that fight, where does Tio go? Because he's saying he wants X amount of money to fight Devin Haney. He's showing no interest in a Lomachenko rematch. Where does Devin Haney? Sorry, where does Teofimo go at 135 if he's not going to fight? I don't know, man. Teofimo right now. I don't know. I want to see after this Cambosos fight. I want to see him stick around at 135. Quite frankly, I want to see a Lomachenko rematch. I want to see him fight Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis. These are the fights that Tio should be going for. But right now, he's kind of feeling himself with that Lomachenko win. So listen, I like Teofimo's a good fighter and he's going to get better, but just needs to chill a little bit, man. Needs to chill a little bit. Let's be honest, Fury should have lost twice. Brutal knockout by Wilder and the cut above the eye against Wallin. Yeah, listen, man, I think he some referees would have waved off a Wilder fight, there's no doubt about it. But the referee didn't. Same goes for Wallin. Like on another night, he could have lost those fights. The fight he genuinely lost was against McDermott back in 2009, whenever it was. He definitely got a gift decision in that fight. That's the fight he should have lost. Yeah, he looked big, man. Yeah, he looked at least 310, I would say. Something like that. 310, 320. But yeah, he's definitely put weight on Tyson Fury. Definitely put weight on. Oh, Lomachenko. AJ Morningstar. Lomachenko all day long. Late stoppage. Lomachenko's just got to watch out for that left hook. Be wary, and he would beat Ryan Garcia. Big up to Apology Man in the house. Hopefully you're doing well, bro. Oh, big up to Truth Sons as well, by the way, for the contribution. Heard they offered Caballero 40 grand, not enough to KO for debt. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that fight would have been ideal for Tyson Fury, I think, in December. Caballero's decent. He's awkward. He's tricky. He's a good boxer, but not really a big puncher. Not going to be one of those guys who takes you through a war kind of thing. That would have been ideal. Fury Caballero in December would have been perfect for him, but didn't happen. So Fury's in a bit of a predicament now. What's coincidental is that Yildirim was Abraham's sparring partner. You can see that Abraham's styles rubbed off on Yildirim. You can definitely see it. O'Hara Davis versus Conor Benn. I would say Conor Benn too active. He's got too great a punch output. If O'Hara can't knock him out, O'Hara loses. But O'Hara he broke his jaw actually in sparring. So who knows? But I've got Conor Benn. If Fury does fight somebody else, it will be poor. It will be poor. Yeah, I agree. It will be poor. Yeah. Who the fuck a Triller, Gerard? Oh, that's that TV channel, isn't it? That done the Mike Tyson fight. 6 million purse bid. I bet fucking Tio's happy. Jesus. Because isn't the IBF like a 75-25 split? So I bet fucking Tio's happy. Jesus. That's a right result. That's silly money, though, for that fight. Silly money. Oh, no. I love to... Listen, man, if we're talking the last 25 years, Trinidad's my favourite welterweight, but he does not beat Mike McCallum at 154. No way. I can't see it. Mike McCallum had a granite chin, good work rate, beautiful body puncher. He would beat Trinidad by late stoppage or on points. I need to see a bit more of Isaac Cruz, AJ. He looked good in defeating Magdaleno, looked very powerful, but I need to see more, bro. Need to see more. Could be a flash in the pan. Magdaleno's been around a long, long time. So, yeah, I'm not convinced, bro. I'm not convinced about him just yet. Yeah, he's let the Loma win go straight to his head. So now we have a division which is only great on paper because everyone except Haney wants to be the A side. Yeah. Listen, Haney's got a lot to prove himself, but he is saying the right things right now in regards to getting these fights. But yeah, a lot of these guys right now are just taking the piss. Ryan Garcia, he wins the interim belt, but he's got no interest in fighting Devin Haney, who's got the full belt. How does that make sense? It's ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. When we got Tank Davis, fuck knows what Tank's doing. Getting fat more than likely. Tio's fighting a poor Mando. It's not looking good at 135. On paper, it's a great division, but you could have fucking 10 great fighters in a division. If they're not fighting each other, then it's not delivering. And lightweight so far this year doesn't look like it's going to deliver. Insect Man, Martin Bakole is technically similar to Usyk. That sounds like something fucking Tony Bellew would say. Yeah, exactly, bro. That's going to be a joke. Yeah, Jake Paul on the undercard. I think most fighters are on the juice, J9898. I think most of these elite level guys who are worth X amount of money, most of these guys are on some sort of juice. The only difference is once you get more popular, once you get more money, the juice becomes, it just gets better for you because you can afford better pharmaceuticals, put it that way. So yeah, all of these guys are on juice, man. All of them. And yeah, I think Pacquiao was back in the day, as was Mayweather, Cotto, all of these guys, man. If Billy Joe beats Canelo, legend status, Tyson Fury levels, not happening though. It's not going to happen, bro. Billy Joe could actually have a good first 4 or 5 rounds when he's fresh, when he's moving. But Canelo's going to get to him, slow him down, and he's more than likely going to take him out late. Exactly, apology. It looks great on paper, but until we get these fights, there's not really too much to talk about. Oh, fuck me. Billy Nelson actually said that about Bakole. Technically similar to Usyk. In what sense? In what sense? They both throw punches. That's the only similarity I can see. Ridiculous comment by Billy Nelson. Absolutely ridiculous. I'll tell you what. Compare how they fought fucking Michael Hunter. Martin Bakole got stood on his head and fucking Usyk beat him clearly and nearly stopped him. Technically similar, my ass, man. Christ almighty. Billy Nelson, what a clown he is, honestly. By the way, lads, if you could smash the like, be much appreciated. See, that's the fight, AJ Morningstar, for the PBC. Well, I'm assuming that Joshua Fury is going to happen. While that is happening, the PBC need to make that fight, because the winner of that fight is in a real good position, to take on the winner down the line. That's a big fight in America, I would imagine, Wilder versus Ruiz. Wilder's still got a big fan base. Ruiz has that Hispanic audience. Get those two guys together. It's a big event, and it's a very good fucking fight as well, man. Very good stylistic matchup. That's a real good fight. And it'll do good numbers, in my opinion. So, again, they need to make that fight this year. Fair enough, give him a tune-up. Wilder fights Martin. Ruiz fights Areola. After that, late summer, Wilder versus Ruiz. Make it happen. It's a great fight. It's a great fight. I agree, J9898. Yeah, the only fighter that I think is somewhat similar to the Usyk is Lomachenko. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Leon Woodstock, Anthony Kakaché's off. I wish they would just stop testing healthy boxers. Yeah, it's a shame. And how many times, when these fights get called off due to COVID, these guys never have symptoms or anything. But whatever. Whatever, man. Yeah, that's another one, bro. Mr. Steal Your Wife, yeah. What's the hold up on Taylor Ramirez? Exactly, bro. You tell me, man. These guys are with the same promoter. They've not had a fight for a while now. Both guys have got rid of their Mando situations. Make this fight, man. It looks like May. That's what we've been hearing. It looks like it's going to go down in May, but I want a date set in stone. That's what I want. It's a great fight. One of the best fights to be made right now. Tremendous fight. We need to get these fights ASAP. Not just that fight. Obviously, Joshua Fury. That needs to be finalised. Jamel Charlo versus Brian Castano. That's an undisputed fight. Both guys are with PBC. Make it happen. There's no need to fuck around and wait for these fights now. Just make them happen. Big up to G-Man Boxing every single time. Salute G-Man. Shannon Briggs, Luis Ortiz is a fun fight. I'd watch it, bro. But Luis Ortiz takes him out, though. I'd watch it, but yeah, Luis Ortiz takes him out. I wouldn't mind seeing Luis Ortiz fighting the other Cuban dude, Frank Sanchez. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. I want to see that one. White Povetkin 2. I think White's going to do it this time. I think White's going to get it done. Povetkin, last time out, showed a lot of heart. You know, he got up off the floor twice, but he was losing that fight. And I felt he looked quite bad at times, to be honest. His legs didn't look as strong. His punch resistance didn't look as good. He looked slower than usual. I honestly thought Povetkin looked pretty washed before he got that perfect punch. So I think Dillian White's going to avenge that loss this time around. I really do. And I wouldn't be surprised if White stops him late on as well. I don't know the reason Charles Martin pulled out of the IBF Eliminator, but maybe Wilder is revisiting that fight now. He knows nobody is going to throw a load of money at him. Yeah, that's what I'm assuming as well, Gerard. Maybe the PBC are telling him to stand by, forget that fight, you'll get more money against Wilder. That's what I would assume. That's what I would assume. Oh, Christ. You know what? Jake Paul probably has better hands than Ben Askren. No word of a lie. Jake Paul, yeah, people say he can't fight. He can't fight in terms of like being a boxer, but compared to most people on the street, like he's got hands, Jake Paul. So yeah, I think Jake Paul might knock out Ben Askren, believe it or not. Honestly, he's got better boxing technique. Ben Askren is horrible at stand-up, absolutely awful. I've seen guys in the gym, yeah, who have been training 4 or 5 months who look to have better hands than Ben Askren. Honestly, his hands are so bad. So bad. Apology, man. He says, the problem, Del, between Taylor Ramirez is money. They want the same or more despite no live gate. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. You know? It's a shame. It really is, man. Josh Taylor's one of the most underrated fighters in boxing. Yeah, to some, but yeah, I agree and disagree. There's a certain section of boxing fans who rate him accordingly, but others seem to like just discard him, kind of thing. Don't really pay him any mind. But yeah, he's a very good fighter, Josh Taylor. I think in a pound for pound sense, he's the best in the UK in terms of like pound for pound. I think Josh Taylor's the best fighter in the UK. Pick up the boxing source every single time. I'm sure I read a comment from Bob saying Ramirez versus Taylor needs a crowd, so waiting for possible venues that would bring in the most support. Yeah, hopefully they can get that done. Hopefully they can get a way around that and get it done. Yes, big up to Levi Khan in the building. Hopefully you'll keep him well, Levi. Salute to Levi from NYC. Ben Askren has been training with K9 Bundridge. What do you think about that? Listen, K9 was a good boxer. Cornelius Bundridge, he was decent at 154, but I don't think he's going to really change Ben Askren overnight, to be honest. Yeah, I agree, Marcy. That's my UK pound for pound number one, Josh Taylor. That's what I was saying, BG London. If I was Povetkin, yeah, I'd have retired after that win. I'd have retired, called it a day, and sailed off into the sunset. That's what I would have done if I was Povetkin. But you know, I'm sure they're paying him a boatload of money in the rematch, and if he were to win again, he could get a title shot, man. So I see why he's fighting again. I see why he's fighting him again, but I don't know. Yeah, Ramirez didn't look himself against Postal, but to be fair, apart from Crawford, nobody's really beat Postal clearly. It's hard to look good against Postal. He's tall, he's rangy, he does all of the basics well, great distance control, great feet, he can box, man. It's hard to look good against Postal, so I wouldn't really hold that against Ramirez. I think it was just a bad style matchup, to be honest. But I think Josh Taylor's style was a lot more it's going to leave him more openings to actually get his work off, basically. Problem for Ramirez, though, unlike Postal, there's a lot more coming back from Josh Taylor. So it's going to be an interesting fight. Yeah, I heard, Levi. Yeah, Triller just won the Teofimo purse bid versus Cambosos with 6 million plus bid, beat out Matchroom and Top Rank, putting on the same card as Jake Paul. It's funny, man. It's funny. Who would win? O'Hara Davis. So who would win? 12 O'Hara Davis or 1 Anthony Joshua? I don't know what you mean, bro. Okay, K9's only working with Ben due to proximity. Ben is in Wisconsin and K9 in Detroit. It's not like Ben went out seeking the best coach available just for closest. Yeah, closest. Yeah, exactly, bro. So he knows he's going to get fucking knocked out more than likely. That is true, Black Hatred. Yeah, that is true. To be honest, we were all saying he should retire after the Joshua fight too, laugh out loud, so you never know. That's true, man. That is true. But to me, yeah, in that Dillian White fight, he looked as bad as I've seen him, to be honest, in terms of how he was handling the punches, his legs, his speed. I thought that was the worst Povetkin I've seen, to be honest. But he got it done still. He got it done. That goes to show his timing's still there, his power's still there, but other attributes are now declining quite rapidly. So, I don't know, man. Oh, did Christopher Lovejoy retire? Christ. One of the greatest to ever do it, Christopher Lovejoy. 20-0 in Mexico. Never fought a guy with a winning record. Yeah, had a great career, man. Great career. Yeah, Postal was very good, Jay. Postal was very good. Mate, he's a hard night for like 99% of fighters. Taylor maybe suffers from not having a household name on his resume. We all know Prograis, Baranchik, and Postal are world class, but the public don't. Yeah, that's the thing though with 140. It's a good division, but it's not like a division that gets a lot of casual fanfare kind of thing. 12 individual O'Hara Davis clones or 1 Anthony Joshua. Oh, 1 Joshua, I would say. No, he wasn't, to be fair, BG London. In the first 4 or 5 rounds of that fight, he was giving Joshua a lot of problems. He actually kind of buzzed him. He busted his nose up as well. Povetkin was having real success at times in that fight. Povetkin's a real fucking good fighter, though, man. Real good fighter. Like, technically one of the best in the division, I say. Great timing, man. His timing is unbelievable, Povetkin. And his overhand right has like a weird technique to it. When you watch Povetkin throw the overhand right, it's almost like a pitcher in baseball when they throw the ball, or a cricket bowler, how he kind of throws that right overhand right. He's got a weird technique to it. If you watch him throw it, it's like somebody who's throwing a fucking baseball kind of thing, if that makes sense. Really good fighter, Povetkin. Great punch technique, power, timing, accuracy. Very good fighter, man. But I just see him well on the decline now. Gerard's picking Ramirez to upset Josh Taylor. Listen, it wouldn't really surprise me that much. I would be. Don't get me wrong, I'm picking Taylor, but it wouldn't shock me if he lost that fight. Wouldn't shock me. Ramirez is a good fighter, man. Carries power, good work rate. He'll keep on coming, man. And if Taylor can't hurt him, you know, it's gonna be a real hard fight. It's gonna be a real hard fight. But I think personally, Taylor's hardest fight he's already won, and that was against Prograis. I think Prograis was the riskiest fight for Taylor. Tell you the truth, in terms of pure ability, I think Prograis is better than Ramirez. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, exactly. Povetkin's legs looked babyish. Looked babyish most of the White fight. Yeah, Bambi-ish. Sorry, fucking can't read tonight. Povetkin, if he beats White again, will be legendary. Straight up soldier Povetkin is, despite his steroids. Yeah, Povetkin just got caught though. Although one of those, mind you, the first time he actually got exonerated for the meldonium. Not sure about the second time, but Yeah, I mean, or like I said earlier, all of these guys are on juice. But he's definitely been one of the best contenders, well, one of the best heavyweights of the last 15 years. Outside the Klitschko brothers and Joshua and Fury, maybe Povetkin's been the fifth best heavyweight. You could make an argument he deserves to be above Wilder in the last 12, 15 years or so. No worries, Jay, man. No worries, Jay. Drilled punches. Povetkin must practice his technique daily. Yeah, exactly. Povetkin was doing really good versus Anthony Joshua, but his physical decline and the regressing punch resistance prevented him from keeping up with AJ. Yeah, I agree, official. I agree. And yeah, that's what I noticed the most in that fight when I was watching it live was Povetkin's legs. He always had great bounce in his legs, and he could hold a shot really well. But every time in that fight when he was touched, you could see him just he was feeling them more often than usual. Taylor and Prograis are special, different level. I agree, man. I think they're the two best fighters in that division. I really do. Which British champion is going to lose their title next? Billy Joe Saunders, BG London. It's going to be Billy Joe Saunders against Canelo in May. He's going to lose that fight. I've got a feeling though Billy Joe's going to do a bit better than people expect, but he's still going to lose. He's still going to lose. Povetkin definitely the best of the rest. Povetkin the best heavyweight not to win a full world title since the 90s. I agree, Mitra. I agree. Because he held the regular belt for a bit, but yeah, that's not really a proper title, is it? But yeah, I think I tend to agree, bro. I tend to agree. But he's definitely up there. Very good fighter, Povetkin, man. Very good fighter. Your Dennis Ugas versus Errol Spence Jr. I've got Errol Spence Jr. in that one. Ugas will be competitive early on in that fight, but I would see Errol Spence taking over after about 4 or 5 rounds. He's got a pretty consistent work rate, pretty durable. I think he'll get on top of Ugas and beat him up late on, maybe for a late stoppage, maybe for a late stoppage, but more than likely on points. That's how I would see that fight. Yeah, Prograis versus Taylor was legit. One versus two fight in my opinion. I was at that fight. Great spectacle. Taylor is lineal champion for me. Hopefully he seals it against Ramirez. Yeah. I was actually worried about Taylor after that fight because he took a lot of hard shots in that one. A lot of hard shots. And I was kind of worried when he come back that he would still be feeling the effects of those. But no, he was okay when he knocked out his mandatory. He looked okay to me. So yeah, I'd be worried if Taylor went straight into the Ramirez fight after the Prograis fight. I really would be. But, he's had some time off and had a fight in between, so he should be okay. Should be okay. It's a good fight, AJ Morningstar. Joe Smith Jr. versus Canelo. Again, it's whether Canelo can hurt Joe Smith because Joe Smith has a good work rate, good power in both hands. He's going to keep on coming forwards. And Canelo likes to kind of sit on the ropes or sit in the corner or kind of stand with you kind of thing. So Joe Smith would actually have a decent chance in that fight, believe it or not, in my opinion anyway. I think he'd have a decent chance in that fight. I'd actually really like to see that fight. Big up to John Gonzalez, man. Salute John Gonzalez. Hopefully you're keeping well, bro. Hopefully you're doing okay out there. Over in Texas. But yeah, lads, if you could smash the like, it'd be much appreciated. Much appreciated. Like I say, man, the nerds down at Silicon Valley love it when you hit the like. It's all about the algorithm, apparently. Yeah, Mitra, he says, I'd love to see a rematch with Prograis at 140 or 147. Would be grueling. I scored the first fight even, identical to the judge who had it even. Taylor probably did enough, though. Yeah, I know a lot of people who I really respect actually scored that to Prograis. I thought it was a very close fight One of those fights where it's a point either way kind of thing or a draw. Uh, there wasn't a clear winner in that fight. I'll tell you that much. And that's we live in this age now where we seem to get pointless fucking rematches. Somebody wins a fight decisively, and he needs to fight that guy again. But if that fight had a rematch, I wouldn't complain. I really wouldn't complain. Yeah, like Lamb Chop, he says Taylor's had a hell of a run of tough fights. If you take out Ryan Martin, he caught all killers in the past 5 fights. Yeah, I think he's actually, his last 4 or 5 opponents have all been unbeaten as well. And before that, he fought the likes of fucking Victor Postal. So, yeah, Josh Taylor's he's really taken on good competition right now, Josh Taylor. Yes, big up to Johnny Boy Man in the chat. Salute to Johnny. Hopefully you'll keep him well, Johnny. He says going to be shooting some pool billards. Just came back to smack the like. Big up, man. Big up. E-Machine, salute to you, sir. Salute to you. Will Canelo fight Bivol? I can't see it anytime soon, E-Machine. I can't see it anytime soon. I can't see it full stop, to be honest. Rid Smith, he says, do you know what's going to happen with the British heavyweight belt? Nobody seems to be chasing it while Joyce has it. Yeah, once this whole Usyk situation is set in stone, I would imagine that Joyce is going to vacate it. That's what I imagine happening. And then the likes of Nathan Gorman, Hughie Fury are going to be in the mix for that belt. But yeah, I'll see it getting vacated very shortly. Yeah, Prograis Ramirez, another good fight. Yeah, indeed. There's still some good fights at 140. What about Prograis versus Zepeda? Yeah, exactly. You've said Zepeda versus anybody. Yeah, exactly. Zepeda. By the way, man, don't rule out Zepeda. That guy is a crafty southpaw. He can box. Wonderful timing. He can punch. Zepeda's a real good fighter. Very dangerous, man. And listen, that's another hard fight for Josh Taylor if he sticks around. Zepeda, very hard fight. You know, I wouldn't rule him out. Yeah, Wilder Stavern 2, Fury Chisora 2. Yeah, both pointless in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. If you was Josh Kelly's manager, what direction would you put him in? I mean, Christ. After that loss, it's going to be real hard. I've heard a lot of talk about 154 for Josh Taylor, and I think I agree. He's a big welterweight, and he struggled to make weight at welterweight when Avanesium and him were first supposed to fight back in 2018, because that fight obviously got called off on the night of a fight or the morning of a fight. Those two guys were supposed to fight 2 years ago, and back then Josh Taylor was struggling with weight. That's why Avanesian's team was so confident in winning this fight. But I would say Josh Kelly needs to move to 154 and target the likes of Scott Fitzgerald, Anthony Fowler, those sort of guys, Ted Cheeseman. They're the sort of fights he should be looking out for at 154 at domestic level. That's my opinion. Eddie Hills, he says Josh Taylor must be the most un-British British fighter. I agree in terms of style. There's not many British fighters out there who can get in the pocket and bang and really be effective with it. Historically, UK fighters haven't been great on the inside. That's something we've always been held, that's something we've always struggled at for some reason. And Josh Taylor just has a natural inkling for fighting on the inside. Gerard said he actually scored that fight for Prograis, although a part of that could be my wallet talking. Yeah, it's one of those fights, bro. Could have gone either way. Yeah, I agree, Eddie. I totally agree. Well, according to Teofimo Lopez, he wants that fight. So whoever wins the Taylor Ramirez fight, I mean, if Teo wants to move up and fight the winner, fair enough. I'll watch it. And I'll commend him for taking that fight. Because it's a tough one. Oh yeah, Prograis at this point fucking ends Broner, no doubt about it, Marcy. Broner now is basically a gatekeeper. I thought he was so poor against Jovian Santiago. So poor, man. lazy, lethargic. Just his reactions looked off. He looked like a guy who was fighting for a check. That's what Broner looked like. No passion for boxing anymore. He needs to get that money, and he needs to, pay off his debts. Basically, that's what Broner. He's a guy who's paying off his bills, basically paying off his debts. And I thought he was awful. We've seen Adrian Broner deliver stinkers and bad performances in the past, but that's the worst I've ever seen Broner. Awful. Absolutely awful. Yeah, Pro Grace Apida is a pay-per-view co-main. Great stuff. Yeah, exactly. It's a war. Yeah. Yeah, Zapida is a beast. Very good fighter, Zapida. I agree, official. I agree. I think Kelly gets murdered at 154. He can definitely hang domestically, but anything above that, he's going to struggle. Yeah, exactly, Gerard. Smash the like button, indeed. Indeed, man. Yeah, Josh Kelly's style with shoe shining, yeah. I think that's a good fight. I think it's a good fight, BG London, or Josh Kelly versus Scott Fitzgerald. I think they're all perfectly acceptable fights. Yeah, official. Yeah, I remember official. You scored it for Progress in the end as well. But again, I can totally see why. One of those fights. One of those fights. I had it 2 rounds for Josh Taylor, but his amateur gym is at the end of my street, so I'm a bit biased. Yeah. Listen, at least you admit it, bro. And the fact you only had it 2 rounds goes to show how much of a close fight that was. G-Man Boxing, big up to G-Man. He says, I rewatched Josh Kelly versus Tom Whitfield yesterday. My God, Sky acted like he won a world title after that fight. No wonder he got so cocky. Yeah, he got gassed up, bro, and he got fucking exposed. He got exposed, man. Kelly can't slow a fight down or control it. He reminds me a little bit. Sorry, he reminds of Khan a little bit. Yeah, no fight IQ. He's got the athleticism, decent speed, reaction time. He's got all of the athleticism, but his actual fight IQ is pretty poor, to be honest. Pretty poor. If Taylor beats Ramirez, he should fight Catterall and then move up. He's too big for the weight. I don't want him to do a Warrington. Yeah, you can risk sticking at a weight class for too long. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, Taylor's definitely a big guy at 140. But you're saying he should fight Catterall? I don't see why not. It's a domestic fight in the UK. Two British fighters. Why not? I guess. Why not? But I'd rather see Taylor fight Ramirez. If he wins, fight Zapida or Teofimo coming up, then move up. That's what I would like to see. Pigeon trying to stir trouble. Look at Pigeon, man. Christ. I get called a UK hater, bro. What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? Broner's face looked extremely aged against Santiago. Tells you about his lifestyle and discipline. Yeah, that's alcohol, bro. We all know he's a big drinker, he's a party guy. And yeah, he looks disheveled, man. He looks terrible in there. Absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. Yeah, Taylor Fitzgerald, definitely a cokehead and more. That guy, yeah, reminds me of one of those geezers who's on fucking spice, man. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Scott Fitzgerald is a nutter. Good fighter, talented fighter, but a bit fucking nuts. Dell works in Costa Coffee, bruh. M25 Junction 4. Man. Oh dear. Pigeon, man. You're a funny dude. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, Eddie? Yeah, it's crazy. I had Yildirim beating Darrell, reckon he goes past 3 rounds. Yeah, Canelo might carry him for a little while. He might carry him, but he's going to knock him out when he pleases, bro. He's going to knock him out when he pleases. I agree. Punch quote. Big up to Pigeon, man. Thank you, Pigeon. All UK fighters have garbage IQ. Yeah, listen, I think there's a big problem in UK boxing right now. We're still doing okay in the amateurs. Like we're actually outperforming the US when you look at the last few years. It's not that we can't produce amateur talent. It's when these guys turn pro, there's something seriously, seriously wrong with the current crop of pro coaches in the UK. Um, because time and time again, the likes of Joe Gallagher, Dave Caldwell, Adam Booth, these guys, man, just continuously just getting exposed at the world level. There's something seriously wrong in the UK in the pro gyms. Seriously wrong. Like the Ingle gym for me, yeah, like this whole notion of technical sparring and body sparring, I think that's a load of bullshit. When I was mucking around boxing, yeah, so I only sparred. I was training for an amateur fight, never happened, and I basically just went off the rails and done other stuff. But when I was sparring, the first gym I went to in Luton, um, there was a lot of technical sparring, and I fucking hated technical sparring because for me, yeah, I'm one of those people. I need something bad to happen in the real to learn from it, and that's what hard sparring does. When you're getting caught, yeah, in real sparring, you learn from your mistakes. Touch sparring or technical sparring, I don't think it's that great at all. I really don't, because you're not learning from any mistakes. It's not high intensity. I think you can actually fall into bad habits with technical sparring and whatnot. There's something seriously wrong in UK gyms, in pro gyms, in my opinion. Something seriously wrong. And if I was a young fighter coming out of the amateurs, like an Olympian, I would seriously consider going to the US or even hiring like an Eastern European coach, because the guys over here are just not cutting it, to be honest. They're just not. Kelly would be more of a force if he put more effort into fundamentals. Yeah, he would definitely be better off. Yeah, Yildirim last 6 rounds tops. More interested in Martinez Arroyo. Me too, bro. That's a good fight. Yeah, don't need IQ to be a good amateur nowadays. That's why. Yep, it's so heavily reliant on point scoring, where you can get a guy who's like the Energizer Bunny, but he's not necessarily a great boxer, and he can go a long way in the amateurs. And yeah, just need to be fit and follow instructions. Yeah. Gerard, he says, fucking mate called this afternoon, and a couple of lines of pure later is reminding me that I'm too old for that shit now. Yeah, bro. Man. See, I've never touched anything like that. Never. I like a bit of the herb now and again, but that's really it. And even that, yeah, I've not had any weed in about probably since November, I guess. Salute to Boxing Beats and Rhymes, by the way. I'm sure you guys know who Boxing Beats and Rhymes is, but if you don't, check out his channel, man. Very good stuff, man. Excellent stuff. Salute to Beats, man. But yeah, it's not looking good right now in the UK, and I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's just this crop of fighters aren't as good as the last, but I don't know, man. It feels like there's something missing in the UK coaching system. I'm not sure. Yeah, BG London, Andrade and Billy Joe should have fought for the Canelo spot. Billy Joe hasn't been in deep water to prepare him for the GOAT Canelo. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I agree, man. Billy Joe's going to go into that fight, and he's not had a fight that's put the fear of God into him since Lemieux back in 2017. Since then it's been very poor. And yeah, I agree. He needed more elite competition going into a Canelo fight. I totally agree. Big up to James Nunn. Salute James Nunn. Honestly, I do think the technical sparring is very useful, but there definitely needs to be some hard sparring as well, for sure. Yeah. See, I never really got on with technical sparring or touch sparring, whatever you want to call it, body sparring. To me, I never. I never felt it improved me any way whatsoever. But I guess it's each to their own kind of thing. See, with hard sparring, I always learn from my mistakes a lot more because I paid for them. Do you know what I mean? I know, BG. I know, bro. I know. That's interesting, AA. My mate's an amateur coach in Scotland, and he teaches a lot of Eastern Europe. I'll start again. My mate is an amateur coach in Scotland. He teaches a lot of Eastern European techniques. Interesting, and you got a link. Oh, nice. You got a link there as well. He's got a channel. Okay. Anybody in the chat, by the way, check out AA's friend. I'll subscribe to him. Actually, that's interesting. AA, interesting. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking at if I was a young pro who's got some notoriety. I'd be looking at moving abroad or hiring a foreign trainer. I wouldn't trust these guys, man. I really wouldn't. Yeah, Romford. Yeah, the Romford Bull. Yeah, he looks interesting. Big lump. He can punch a bit. Seems strong. Very early though. Very early. Seems like a good raw talent. But we'll see how he gets moved on. We'll see how he gets moved. He only had 10 amateur fights, so he's going to need some seasoning, a lot of activity, seasoning, good sparring. That's what he needs. And he's got good reports in sparring Joe Joyce. See, that also really improves fighters. Access to top quality sparring is definitely going to help him out. I think that's an aspect of building a fighter where people don't really pay it any mind. A young fighter who's got good access to good sparring partners. That's a big plus. Big plus, man. Official scorecard boxing. He says, I never liked the weed and shit. Once I smoked some skunk, oh fuck me, I got into a terrible trip. Thought I was in Counter-Strike, the assault map, and I thought my heart was going to stop. Jesus, man. Yes, let's get him some subscribers, man. I'll subscribe after this stream, bro. I'll drop him a subscription. So he runs the Sparta Boxing Academy in Scotland. One of the boys has just turned over in the last month. They regularly go east to train. Interesting, man. That's very good, man. That's interesting. And that's another thing with coaches in the UK. This is what I've noticed in amateur gyms. There's a lot of it's like a square peg round hole mentality in UK boxing coaching, where a guy, everyone has to fight the same, hands up, straight punches. Everyone's got to fight the same. To me, a good coach will see a novice in the gym. They'll see how he stands, what his natural inclinations are, and they'll build off that. So me personally, I was always a guy. I'm tall and rangy. My habit naturally is to keep my left hand low for whatever reason. Every time, and that's how I feel more comfortable fighting in that stance. And most coaches at the start always try to get me to have my hands up, high guard, blah blah blah. It didn't suit me, and it took my last coach, an old Jamaican guy actually in Bedford, and he realised that was most comfortable for me, and he built on that. That's to me what a good coach should do. Find what's most comfortable for that fighter and build on that. Not try and have everybody in a regimented style, because it's not going to suit everybody. It's not going to suit everybody. Like I see these coaches, they're training like some 6'1" guy like me who's basically a welterweight at the time, the same as they're training like a 5'5" guy. Hands up, straight punches. That's ridiculous. A good trainer, it's not this square peg round hole mentality that we see in the UK. Hear so many stories of how guys coming up learn how to set up their camps after fighting established pros, especially those who were in the Vladimir Klitschko camp. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, indeed. The likes of Dillian White, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, they learned a lot in those camps. They learned a lot. They took something from it. and that's what it's all about. I loved Vladimir's style when he was clean with it, you know, like the Pulev fight, for example. But yeah. Oh, big up to Big Dan, by the way. Oh, hang on, is this fight official? Bentley versus Felix Cash. Yeah, that's a good fight, you know. Denzel Bentley versus Felix Cash, British middleweight title. Yeah, bro, that's a sick fight. And thanks for the contribution, bro. Is that definitely happening? Because that's a real good fight. What channel is that going to be on? Because Bentley's a Warren fighter and Cash is with Eddie Hearn. Let me have a look. That's a great fight domestically. I think Denzel Bentley's going to win that fight. I think he's too versatile. Bentley can box, he can bang, he can brawl, he can do a bit more than Felix Cash. That's a real good fight though. Hopefully you're not getting me excited, bro. Okay, so not official, but they've basically agreed. And Frank won the purse bids. Okay. Listen, man, I'll be honest. If that fight happens, I'll give Felix Cash a lot of credit because I thought he was going to avoid that fight. That's a very good fight. That's a great fight, man. Okay, Frank won a purse bid, but Cash is scheduled on a matchroom card in March. I guess that could be a tick-over fight, though, AA, before the main fight happens. Could be a tick-over fight because March is only, what, 5 days away, whatever it is, or 4 days away, whatever. But yeah, hopefully that can happen. That's a great fight, man. Because I like Denzel Bentley a lot. I think I like his style. I do. I thought he was great in that rematch with Mark Heffron. He's a good fighter, Denzel Bentley. Why all of a sudden are we producing heavyweights but sucking most other weight divisions? Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like, historically, the UK at heavyweight, we've always been a bit of a joke, really, especially pre-Lewis. I remember your old videos, the horizontal heavyweights. We was always seen as a bit of the butt of all jokes in the heavyweight division. But these days, man, we're running the show. But in other weight classes, like historically, we've had great fighters at 168 and 160, but the current crop of guys at those weight classes aren't really anything to write home about. There's nobody in the welterweight division coming up. It's looking kind of bleak outside, but it's a weird one. It's a very weird one. Maybe it's just how this cycle's worked out. Maybe I'm just looking too much into it. Maybe it's not anything seriously wrong. Maybe this crop of fighters just aren't good enough. It could be that. It could be that. But I don't know, man. It's interesting. I agree. Listen, BG London, I totally agree. I think Lawrence Okole is going to have a very good career at cruiserweight. I really do. Don't get me wrong, he's not for everybody, but it's going to take a very good fighter to beat Lawrence Okole at cruiserweight. Very good fighter. I think he's going to beat Glowacki. He's going to become a world champion. I said a while ago that Lawrence Okole would be the most decorated fighters out of that 2016 Olympic squad. I think Okole is going to do the most, and I've said that for a while now. I think he's going to be very hard to beat. And he's improved as well, Lawrence Okole. I think that move to Shane McGuigan, I think that's working out well. I've noticed a few improvements, how he's much better at gauging distance and timing you with that right hand. His jab seems a bit more effective now. I've noticed in the 2 fights he's been with Shane, he's definitely improving on a few things. And he's a real puncher, by the way. He's a real puncher, Lawrence Okole. I think he's going to be a good champion at cruiserweight. Why do I always forget? I always forget Joe Joyce is from that squad. I always forget for some reason. But yeah, Joyce and Okole, the only guys from the Rio squad that are going to cut it at world level, in my opinion. Jury's out on Buatsi. See, I like Buatsi. In terms of watching him fight, I like him as a person as well, but I see a lot of holes there. See, I was told, again, I'm not sure how true this was, but I was told that Team Buatsi wanted no parts of Callum Johnson. I'm not sure whether that's true or not, because Eddie Hearn said that they offered Callum that fight basically. So I'm not sure what's true, but I need to see a bit more from Buatsi. AA boxing and blunts, he's not having any of it. Akole needs to be stripped of his license. Hugging and sexually assaulting people is not boxing. Listen, man, I think in his last two fights, he's shown a better knack of controlling range and keeping guys at the end of his punches. I think he's going to get better, bro. I really do. I think he's going to get better. We ain't got nobody else worth talking about. Yeah, so Akole, Joyce, they're the main ones, really. They're the ones who are in and around world level already. Eddie Hills, he sees Dorticos starching Akole. I don't know, man. Listen, don't underestimate Akole's power. He can really punch. He can crack. Like when he hit that guy on the Joshua undercard, I know he wasn't great, the guy he was fighting, but when he hit him, yeah, it's like the guy got hit with a fucking taser. Like he just short-circuited, man. It's crazy. But Akole, listen, Akole's a good fighter. Ugly as fuck, don't get me wrong in terms of his style, but he's very effective. And one thing to say, though, like in other countries, though, he's not going to get away with that. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, that was one of my favourite knockouts. Dorticos Tabiti, yeah, brutal. Because Tabiti, from what I recall, started that fight okay in the first sort of 2-3 rounds, was boxing quite nicely, but he just couldn't keep Dorticos honest. Couldn't keep him honest, and he got knocked out, man. But yeah, Dorticos is a good fighter in his own right. So I still want to see him fight on. I mean, look at cruiserweight. Ilunga Makabu versus Junior Dorticos. That would be a great fight. That could be an all-time great cruiserweight fight in terms of action. Because those guys just come forward and bang. Both guys are vulnerable as well. Both guys can be knocked out. That's a great fight. Exactly. Akole hit him with a Volks, yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Love that KO. None of that fancy boxing. Just straight in with the power shots and broke him up. Yeah, indeed. I still like the cruiserweight division, actually. There's still a lot of good fights to be made. But talking about Miris Briedis moving up to heavyweight, I still kind of want to see him fight Makabu, to be honest. I want to see that fight. Makabu's another guy, though. Makabu, not underrated per se. Underappreciated is more the correct term, because watch that guy fight, man. He's never in a bad fight, Ilunga Makabu. He's vulnerable. He can punch. He's aggressive. He's a very good fighter, man. Very fun fighter to watch. Now, there's no super fights at cruiserweight, to be honest, BG London. What I think is going to happen for some reason, BG London, Akole's going to get that world title, and we're going to see an all-domestic fight between Akole and Richard Riakporhe. That's what I think is going to happen. By the way, lads, if you could smash the like, be much appreciated. Oh, Christ, Eddie Hills, he says, Briedis Babic, we've had enough of Dave Allen-esque fighters. Yeah, Briedis would hurt Babic, bro. He would hurt Babic. I think David Price stands Babic on his head, in all honesty. Akole when he's won a cruiserweight title will be in good fights at heavyweight. Yeah, that's going to be the end destination for Lawrence Akole. He's definitely going to be a heavyweight. At heavyweight, though, I see Akole getting knocked out, I'll be honest. But I think he's going to be hard to beat at cruiserweight. John Gonzalez, he saw the Dorticos Kudryashov KO live in person over quick. Yeah, I'll always remember Kudryashov's face in that fight when he got knocked out. It was hilarious, man. Absolutely hilarious. I think he knocks out Riakporhe. Akolipus. Yeah, Lawrence Akole, man, he's gonna do really well to shift that that kind of reputation he's got of being a boring fighter. he's gonna have to do really well to get rid of that reputation. If he can take care of Glowacki in a clean manner with a good knockout, that'll go some way in redeeming himself. Big up to Steven Schneider. Salute to you, sir, man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Big up to Steven, part of a BDA family. Yeah, he's had one fight since losing to Usyk, and that was last year against a pudding, basically. I still think Gassiev can do something, though, at heavyweight. I think he can. He's technically sound, hits hard, he's got a good chin. I think he'll do all right at heavyweight. He just needs to stay active. Yeah, cruiserweight is the second most dangerous division with the least amount of money. Yeah, exactly, bro. Cruiserweight in the last 15 years or so, in terms of pure entertainment, it's been the best division in boxing. The amount of great fights in the cruiserweight division in the past 10, 15 years, it's been crazy. Absolutely crazy. Even back to days of David Hay and Mormek, sorry, back in the day, it's been a great division, man. It's been a brilliant division. Just doesn't get the mainstream coverage that other divisions get. I mean, one of those things, man. It's because historically there's not been many UK and US fighters in that division. That's what I think personally. There's just no real Western influence in those divisions. I think that's why those divisions, that division in particular, doesn't really get the shine it deserves, because there's been some real good fights and some real good fighters in that division. Like there are some great cruiserweight fights which most boxing fans have never seen, which is a shame. Like I would say, yeah, like 5% of boxing fans, or less than 5% of boxing fans, probably, I don't know, not many, even hardcore boxing fans. There are some of those guys who have not seen Guillermo Jones versus Denis Lebedev, for example. It's great fight, man. I can't really see it. Eddie Hill's too small for. He's too small. Maybe he could, do something at European level, but he's not going to go past it. Did Gassiev die? Now he fought he fought back end of last year against Nuri Safari, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he's been very inactive, man. Very inactive. But yeah, his resume is very good, Mr. Steal Your Wife. Very good. Salute to Matt, by the way. He says, evening, guys. Big up to Matt for the support every single time, brother. It doesn't go unnoticed, man. So big up to Matt. Always helps the channel out, man. So salute to you, sir. Salute. And hopefully you've been keeping well, mate. Hopefully you've been keeping well. Most fans would snub Briedis from their pound-for-pound list. Yeah. And listen, man, he's got a good resume. He's got a good resume. Indeed, Briedis, top 10, extremely skilled and a great ring IQ, bro. Yeah, exactly. He does have a very good ring IQ. Excellent timing as well. Does he have the best uppercut in boxing? Mairis Briedis. I think he's got a great argument because his uppercut is fucking stunning, man. Whether it be in the pocket or on the back foot, he's got one of the best uppercuts I've seen in quite some time, man. Wonderful shot. Fucking great shot, man. Great uppercut. He did indeed, yeah. He gave Usyk a real hard fight. Won a few rounds as well. Yeah, James Toney Vasily Girov, another great cruiserweight fight. Steve Cunningham versus Krzysztof Ladashek. Those fights were great. Yeah, some real good fights. Kalenga versus Dorticos. Briedis versus Usyk. There's been some great cruiserweight fights, man. Dorticos Gassiev. Fucking amazing fights, bro. Amazing fights. Yeah, listen, man. Tony Bellew, listen, I'm not his biggest fan, put it that way. I don't really like him at all. But he was a pretty fun fighter. And even I will say he was underrated as a boxer. Tony Bellew could fight, man. He could definitely fight. Good timing. Nice left hook, of course. Decent power. Tony Bellew could fight. He wasn't a bad fighter. The guy's he's just a fucking idiot. That's my problem with Tony Bellew. But he could fight a bit. There's no doubt about it. He could fight. And that knockout against Makabu looks a lot better now, I'll tell you that much. Because Makabu since then's not lost and he's beaten some good guys. So that's a good win for Tony Bellew. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah, Gassier fought on the same day Usyk fought Chisora. Yeah, October. Oh, fuck me! I nearly pressed the wrong button. Ultratech's ripping of Bellew is priceless. Yeah, I like Ultratech. He's got some good content. Makes me laugh. Okay. Yeah, that's it. He fought the fat guy. Yeah, the guy he fought looked like a fucking kebab shop owner. But yeah, he got the job done. Got the knockout, and hopefully he stays active now. I want to see him fight somebody half decent at heavyweight, Gassiev. See, I'd love to see Gassiev fight Derek Chisora, but that's not going to happen. They're going to plan something for Derek. They're going to plan something for Derek. He'll be back in action soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see Derek Chisora fight, what's his face? The big Chinese heavyweight, Zili Zhang. Could see that happening. Yeah, I like Ultra, man. He's a funny dude. And he knows his stuff as well, technically, when he talks about boxing, like the technical breakdowns. He doesn't do that enough, in my opinion. I wish he'd done more of those videos because he's very good at those sort of videos. Making his way to the ring and weighing 320 pounds, the WBC and lineal heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson, the inactive King Fury. Yeah, I'm just getting sick of Fury Joshua talk. I can't lie, man. That's why I've not really covered it, man. It's just like fuck until it gets set in stone. I'm not going to get too excited, bro. I hope it happens. I think it will happen, but I'm not going to get too invested just yet. And naturally, for whatever reason, I'm not that excited about it just yet. When it gets made and nearer the time, I'm sure I'll get excited. But right now, I don't really care that much for it, as silly as it sounds. No worries, bro, Beasley London. So this weekend, probably Julio Cesar Martinez versus Mukjo Arroyo. That's the fight I'm looking forward to most. It's on the Canelo undercard. Also, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that Keyshawn Davis making his pro debut, see what he looks like. I've heard a lot of hype about him, but I've never seen him fight, even in the amateurs. So I'll be interested to see what he looks like. He signed with Matchroom, Keyshawn Davis. So we'll see what he looks like as well on the undercard. But the fight I'm looking forward to most this month, it's got to be Roman Gonzalez versus Juan Francisco Estrada. That fight, man, that's a great fight. That's a pound-for-pound level fight. Nah, that's a sick fight, man. I'm actually picking Estrada to knock him out, believe it or not. I'm picking Estrada by knockout, by stoppage, late stoppage. It's going to be a great fight, though. Roman can definitely win. He can definitely win, but it's a great one, man. Listen, man, it's boxing, Stephen. I wouldn't be shocked. That's another reason. Yeah, I think I'm not going to get too invested just yet because if it doesn't happen, then I've not really lost too much. I'm not kind of setting my hopes on it being made. Put it that way. I'm not like crossing my fingers and fucking crossing my toes or anything like that. Yeah, that's how I have it as well. I think this time around, Roman is just a bit more battle worn these days, and I think Estrada's got more in the tank. He actually seems to be punching harder these days as well. It's a good fight though. It's a very good fight. Roman can definitely win. I just see these punches this time around having much more of an effect on Gonzalez, because we'll see, man. It's a good fight though. It's a great fight. Yeah, he definitely plays up to a certain demographic. Gerard. Yeah, that's his kind of shtick, I guess. Yeah, I totally agree, Stephen. He looked. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, he looked great against Cal Yafai, and he beat Israel Gonzalez. But one thing I noticed, yeah, in the Israel Gonzalez fight, Gonzalez was having a lot of success when he was punching with Roman Gonzalez. Sorry. And listen, Estrada's a master counterpuncher with power. I, I've got a feeling Estrada's going to time him in the exchanges and knock him out or stop him late on, kind of thing. I really do. Very good fight, though, man. I don't know. I just see it hard for Gonzalez winning that fight at this stage. But it's Roman Gonzalez, man. He's more than capable. He's a great fighter. I mean, it'd be interesting. If Fury's not ready after a warm up, he'll probably fake an injury 2022 if that's the case. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked, bro. Tyson Fury's not a reliable character in general. He just isn't. And even Tyson Fury's biggest fan has to admit that he's not the most reliable character in the world, is he? Tyson Fury. And that's another thing. When you got the likes of Tyson Fury, nothing's a sure thing. Nothing is a sure thing. So let's not count our chickens. What is it? What's the saying? Let's not count our eggs before they hatch. No, let's not count our chickens before they hatch. But yeah, when it gets made, it gets made. But I'll wait until then. Because that's the easiest thing right now. Is like make a video about every little update in regards to Joshua Fury. Eddie Hearn says that Tyson Fury fucking wants a fucking big fucking dressing room. I don't know. I don't know, man. But fuck that shit, man. I could make a video about those two cunts every day. JDev's banter game is too strong for Ultratech and UCTV. I rate both guys, man. I like both guys. Especially Ultratech as well, because he made me a bit of money actually on the whole cryptocurrency. So got a lot of time for UCTV. Sorry, but big up to JDev though. Hopefully you're keeping well, bro. Anyway, lads, I think it's best I wrap this one up. Got a couple of bits to do. I need to fucking make something to eat for a start. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Just a little quick one. Peace.